Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for this session today on how well do we know our customers. Hyper-personalization has become the flavor of today's business, be it insurance, e-commerce, or manufacturing. Customers are expecting the level of personalization and product differentiation that will allow them and make them feel special. But in a traditional industry like insurance, how do we make that happen? That's the challenge that we are going to talk about today. And we have some fabulous leaders lined up for your discussion. I have Niharika Yadav, President and Director, CEO, AXA Financial Indonesia. I have Shania Ghosh, CEO and Executive Director, Edelweiss General Insurance. And I have Vinny Wong, CEO and Executive Director, Asia Insurance, Avo Insurance. And I am your host and moderator for today. My name is Shefali Sonpar. I am currently working with IBM as the industry leader, and I am very excited to discuss about digital transformation and how it's impacting the insurance industry. Data is at the core of all the transformation. And since data is the basis of analytics, personalization, outcomes, it brings a very interesting point of view. I maybe invite Shania, if you could share your thoughts on what is your perspective on customers and hyper-personalization?
Thanks, Shefali. Thanks. Great to be on this panel and look forward to an extremely interesting discussion. Hyper-personalization, data, these are all buzzwords, that exist today. And I've spent about, 20 plus years in the space of banking and financial services. And I have seen these buzzwords or the sound becoming louder every year. Data existed, in 2000 as well, right? And I've always been a part of large organizations. Even in large organizations, I've been part of, business models or units that were using technology to transform, some in a big way, some in a small way. So for me, it was very exciting when I came at Edelweiss General Insurance, where the entire business model was predicated on technology, and we're in InsurTech. And therefore, as an InsurTech, one of the core levers of differentiation for us is personalization of products and experiences, right? But when you come into the insurance industry, you realize, as a professional here, I was more excited by the gaps that I saw, because that really gives you an opportunity as a new player to come in and change and transform, experience there. One of the biggest gaps that we have in the insurance industry is the ownership of the customer relationship. The starting point of personalization is if you understand the customer. And honestly, in insurance, we have to ask ourselves a hard question: do we really own the customer relationship? Unfortunately, for the longest time, we were happy to relegate that aspect to intermediaries and partners. And over the last 3-4 years, I wouldn't even say a decade, over the last 3-4 years, the insurance industry overall has woken up to the importance of, owning this part and understanding the customers, and therefore progressing the journey on personalization. You brought up the point of data. How do you collect data? You can't just, the customers of today are not willing to hand out data. There are data privacy concerns unless you're giving them a meaningful experience and you're engaging with them in a relevant platform and context. They're not going to engage with you. So the starting point of this entire personalization journey for us was to say that how do we engage with customers and give them the reason and a platform to engage, which is where we also realize that, our equation with the customers, apart from owning the relationship, the way to do that is to transcend from transaction to actually engagement. And for an insurance company, which means that we have to go beyond the confines of protection to actually prevention, avoidance. And you have to become part and parcel of customers' daily lives and embed insurance in journeys that customer journeys that are part and parcel of their daily lives. So that means that we have to create a platform. So for us, that was like, we have to create a platform. We can't just be about buying, selling insurance, renewing insurance, paying claims. We have to be about beyond that. So we have to create a platform. So for us on motor and health, I'll talk about a little bit. We are creating a platform around digital health services. And the utilization of the services is going to give us a cue on what are the other personalized experiences and products that we can give. There are customers for whom we have created 0% deposit. In India, if you go into a hospital, you have to pay a deposit. So we have tied up with a certain select hospitals to give 0% deposit kind of admission. We have to target that message to those customers. We can't do a carpet bombing. Similarly, there are chronic disease or lifestyle management, platform services that we provide. Again, to our entire health insurance customer base, we can't target that. We have to look at our customer base, segment the pre-diabetic or the hypertensive, and look at the degree of those things and target those services to them. So that's a very basic level of personalization. But to do that, I have to create a platform and I have to provide meaningful and relevant messages. You really need, otherwise there's too much information out there. People just will just block you out. So this is one thing that we're doing on health. The other thing that we're doing on motor, and we've done experimented motor, is understanding what customers want today. Today, customers want on-demand products. They want subscription-based products. They want products that they can control. So we actually launched a product last year called Switch, which was India's first on-demand motor insurance policy, which pretty much told the customers, you don't want insurance, your car insurance to be active, just switch it off. So we actually, motor insurance is a very low involvement product. Unless you claim, you're not really involved, okay? But we went from a low involvement to a high involvement product where people were actually controlling where their insurance was switched on and off. And this was under the sandbox that we launched in India. And the response was so tremendous. We've had people coming back to us saying, why isn't this product available anymore? We want to do this. But there is a segment of that population, and that was, to me, an experience which was very valuable, because we realized that this is a product category where customers don't want to engage, but we actually help them engage. And the other big gap that I see, and I'm going to, I think we'll talk more about it, is the investment in data infrastructure and organization. I think less is, the more said about it, the less it is, because we as an organization, a lot of times it's a lot of investment, okay, both in terms of infra as well as in terms of talent and organization. You have to make that investment ahead of the curve. You can't wait to build a body of data. You have to make that investment, whether it's a data lake. We've made that investment already, because I mean, although we are 3 years old and a lot of people wondered what we were doing, making all these, hiring these people. But I just remembered something that someone told me when a company called Discovery, where we met somewhere, and very long back, I said, they started their journey 25 years ago almost, right? So, and they're a very data focused company, or the data assets across the value chain are huge. So I actually asked the chief data scientist, when did you start this journey? He said on day one, even when we data. Because they said the focus at that time was only on collecting data. I mean, that's the vision that you need to have. And to me, the journey to personalization begins with these.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you, Sania, because what tends to happen is, and you used a beautiful example for Discovery, Latin America, tends to focus a lot on health, and the advancements they've done in that space are tremendous. So Discovery was a fabulous example, and replicating that kind of personalization and segmentation in India and other Asian markets would be critical, given the diversity of our population. Niharika or Vinny, maybe, what is your opinion on segmentation? And maybe I can start with Vinny, and Niharika, you could chime in from there. How would you suggest we can do this micro-segmentation, use the data effectively? And personally, how have you done that in your world?
Thank you, Shefali, and thank you, Chennai, for your sharing just now. I look after 2 very different insurance companies at the same time. One is Avo Insurance, which is the largest composite insurer, local insurer in Hong Kong, with the longest history, over 63 years history in Hong Kong, mainly focusing on B2B business through agents and brokers. While at the same time, I also look after Avo Insurance. As you can tell from the logo, they target a very different segment. Avo is the first virtual general insurer in Hong Kong, purely online B2C and B2B2C model. So we only sell very simple, very personal or micro insurance through the online platform, targeting at the younger and more tech-savvy segments. From the data strategy, I think for Avo, it's comparatively fortunate on the fact that we have one of our shareholders is Two Sigma. It is a leading data analytics company in the world, and they provide us with data analytics tools as well as resources to support us in designing our data strategy. So we believe that there are 5 levers to designing data strategy, as well as scaling data science capabilities in our organization. There are 5 levers. One is infrastructure. We believe that we have to centralize our data storage, establish data governance and quality policy, and define data assets for high impact teams. And also data should be collected and discoverable, compliant, understood, as well as actionable throughout the organization. And the second lever that we focus on is people, which is very crucial part in the organization in order to make things happen. So we have to define and outline a data culture. We need a data culture, set the stage for organization-wide upscaling, so that everyone has the skills necessary to work with and understand the data. And we need more bilingual talents. What we mean bilingual is they have to be able to understand our business, insurance, knowledge, market information, and all that, while at the same time, they have the skills to understand and analyze data. And the third lever is tools. We provide access to inclusive modern tooling, aligning the tooling with infrastructure strategy that we have defined, and also the modern tooling and frameworks for enabling higher adoption and easier data-driven decision-making. And the fourth lever that we focus on is the organization. We have to define our data team organizational model, and then the organizational model, how can we scale it up for our data scientists to really mine the data and also analyze the data for business use. And the fifth and final area that we focus on is the processes. We need to define the data processes with other business units, integrated into the processes of different business teams. And of course, the data processes have to scale collaboration as well as efficiency. So these are the 5 key levers that we focus on. But of course, because we are running 2 insurance companies at the same time, we are at different stages and with different challenges. For Avo Insurance, like a lot of other mature insurance companies, legacy system is always a big challenge for us to move to much more effective data analytics. So data and digital transformation is something that we are working on in order to make better use of our data. While for Avo, of course, it's a startup with only 2 years history. We have the beauty of being starting everything from scratch and build the data structure, data culture from scratch, but we are short of data. We need time to build our data to be able to draw meaningful insight. So we are at different challenges, and we have to overcome these challenges with different ways. So just share a bit more later. Yeah, thank you.
No, that's a fabulous summarization of the 5 levers. And I have a question here from Ashish, which is directed to you. So I may take that because it kind of chimes in, directed to you. Please share your experience so far in innovative products like e-wallet protection work from home protection, sport protection, and what are some of the lessons learned and how the ground realities is helping it to evolve it further from a customer experience?
Yeah, thank you for the question. You're right. A lot of our products are new in Hong Kong, or probably new in the entire market. With e-wallet getting more mature, especially after the pandemic, we try to give it a bigger push, even though we started to launch the product before the pandemic. Where we launched Avo Insurance. This is one of the flagship products that we offered, given the increasing usage of e-wallets. And there are also quite a lot of cases or concerns about unauthorized use or access of these e-wallets resulting in financial loss. So that's why we designed this product. Of course, there's some external data that we can use, some external data sets. And internally, we gradually built our internal data set to adjust the product coverage and also the expectation of our clients. But at the very outset, we have to rely on some external data sources. And then for work from home insurance, of course, it's increasingly popular during the pandemic for people to work from home. And a lot of freelancers are also working from home or working in co-working spaces. So that's why we designed the work from home insurance with a lot of interesting cover. In fact, a lot of people get back pain and neck pain and all sorts of problems because of the fact that the environment of working from home is actually not suitable for working long hours, in front of their computers. So that's why we designed quite a lot of interesting features to meet customers' expectations. And we have to adjust these features or coverage on an ongoing basis based on customers' feedback. And this is really important because from the analytics that we see, we know exactly at what point of time they decide to buy the cover. And for example, if they stop at the payment stage, then we know probably the price is not right or the payment method is not convenient enough. So we have to be able to draw insight from the customer journey, from the customer behavior that we have observed in the journey. And I think there's one more that you asked about. Oh, I cannot remember.
Yeah, that's okay. We spoke about the e-wallet protection and sport protections.
Oh, sports. Yeah, sports is another one that we just launched. It's mainly because of the pandemic as well, because a lot of people cannot travel. Hong Kong people love traveling. I would love to travel to India and to visit you, but we cannot. So a lot of people are doing all sorts of sports that they are not used to. In Hong Kong, we do a lot of hiking, a lot of walking, running. But in fact, a lot of people did not have the habit of doing it at all. They just picked it up during the pandemic. So there are all sorts of accidents, they need to see doctors and physiotherapists and all that. So that's why we designed the sports insurance, which would be able to meet a certain segment's demand, but it's quite popular in terms of picking up the sports. So I think this is also based on market demand as well as our observation of the data that we can draw from social media. What's the topic? What are the words that they normally talk about in their leisure conversations and all that? So we can draw those data and some insights for designing a product. Sports is definitely one of the very popular topics that they talk about. Yes.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And to the audience, if there's any question that you'd like me to address, either to all the panelists open or any specific one, please do post it in the Q&A. I'd be happy to direct it. We've been speaking about partnership. We've been speaking about, data, using it to reach the right audience. And the way to do that is getting your distribution strategy correct. And who better than Niharika to speak about that, given her vast experience in the space. So Niharika, please do share some points around that and throw some light on the realities of the new age insurance.
Thank you so much, Shefali, and hello to everyone. It's really great to be here with all the panelists. It's a really good topic, a topic that we've been dealing with years and years together, because I really like what Shania shared. Who really owns the customer is a big question in insurance companies. But just as a background, I'm President, Director, CEO for AXA Financial Indonesia, a company basically into life insurance and health insurance. So I'm very happy to share perspective on the life side as well. I've been here in this role for 3 years, but before that, Winnie, I was in Hong Kong working for AXA, and I lived there for about 11 years. And of course, before that, Shania, I was in India. So I do understand and I do relate to many of the things that you said specific about the countries. So in Indonesia, I think it's very clear that, we've got a really young population. We've got 62% of our population, which is very active in social media, which means they spend more than 6 hours in a day on any sort of social media. So it's very natural that for an industry like ours, which has had this overriding perception of being a product pusher, of lack of trust, transparency, overcomplicated processes, whether it is about selling or claiming or disbursement of a benefit, people do have a perception about insurance company that it is something that they want to rely on. It's a necessity, but they don't necessarily trust it. So how do you go about transforming this perception? How do you build that trust back? And I think customer and how do you develop an access to those customers becomes a very important moment of truth for you. In these last few years, I think the industry is transforming. I think from a product pusher, people are talking about, financial need analysis. What do you need at what stage of your life? But most importantly is that we are today more and more B2C company. So we always have an intermediary between us and the customer. Yes, of course, there's a channel where people can access our products directly, but it's really a small percentage of our overall picture. So if you see if our business is going to be intermediated by agents, brokers, for bank assurance business, by the bank tellers, we really need to understand how our distribution channel is indeed a reflection of the customer that you're going to have. You recruit a high net worth agent, you are likely to get a high net worth agent. You recruit them as rookies straight from college, you're likely to going to get like on the the lowest radar of your hierarchy. If you get a bank assurance kind of an access to build your business, then for sure you are thinking about attaching protection to loans, something which is a necessity, not something that they want, and they come up and say, okay, we would like to have some protection. So building an ecosystem of protection, building the mandate, especially AXA, which really takes pride in putting customer centricity in the heart of everything that we do. Customer centricity is something that we're very proud of, not only in defining a proposition, but also all our processes. In here, I think the distribution, the partnership becomes very important. Who you choose to access who becomes your bigger question related to what Shania also said. So here we have high net worth customers that we are after. It's a small segment. So today we get 26% of our top line from our high net worth customers, but they represent only 2% of the case. So volumes come from people who are not developing so much on the high level, but there is an effort going in. So we have to, in a market where the penetration of insurance is less than 3% or put together, and a growing population of 300 million, the opportunity is great. But that means you just can't be very selective that you're going to go this way and not that way. You got to have a very defined go-to-market strategy. You need to have very defined who your customer is. How do you segment your customer for the entire spectrum? So on one spectrum, like I mentioned, you have high net worth. On the really, really extreme spectrum, you have emerging customers that you get from either a work site, which is a big corporate trying to give some benefits to their employees, or emerging customer access that you get from like a trade union or like an organization that's working in the welfare of people who can't even make 2 meals of a day. And there you're educating them to how to buy and how to commoditize protection for them and their family. Now, one thing that pandemic has done great for us and for the industry is it has raised awareness. There are lots and lots of surveys which tells you that 15% more people feel vulnerable and they want to get life insurance coverage. There are 37% of people who feel extremely stressed, financially stressed, and they're thinking about retirement, and hence they're thinking about the retirement. Those are great indicators for us, because those are great, lead indicators for us, which means they are going to contact someone, maybe not me, but maybe my competitor. But the awareness will increase, and instead of pushing a product, you will probably have a demand. And when you have a demand, you better have your distribution prepared to sell the right product to the right category of the customer. So here we do something very interesting, Shefali. We, apart from defining our millennial customers, married, unmarried, and high net worth, mass affluent, which I think is quite common. We just have different names for it. But I think what we define is the service proposition for each of our customers. Products are easy to copy, but I always tell my team, it's the service, it's the personalization that you do with every service that would make the difference. So two things we do. One is for all our agents, because mis-selling is so common in our market, and I know, Shania, it's very common in India as well. So misinterpretation, mis-selling, over-promising, that's something that plagues our industry. So we made it absolutely mandatory for all our agents to go through this FNA tool, financial need analysis training, called Speak. So all of them go through intensive training of hours and hours together to go through a process, a guided process, to take their customer and prospects through their stages and what their needs could be, and then propose the product. Not only does it help them to close sales very professionally at that point in time, but it also helps them to generate lead. For example, if someone is married, needs only a health cover for the moment, but is likely to have a family in 5 years, and you mark that in your iPad or in your tab, and that reminds you that after 3 years you should be going about a family insurance or an education or a enhanced health plan. So for Speak, I think this is really the right step to ensure that all of our agents are trained on financial need analysis. And I have seen that for us also, complaints about customers about being missold the wrong product or being missold about the premium and the benefits is decreasing quite rapidly, which is great. And obviously, much credit goes to the customers, because now they read through, they go through the brochures, they compare. So it's partly because of that also. The second thing we've done on the customer side is we've introduced telemarketing as like an embedded proposition in all our life insurance contracts. Even if it is a small one that goes to only give hospitalization benefit, it's hardly anything. It's like a door opener. But even there, we've exhibited our pair to partner kind of philosophy in them, and we've given free telemarketing, teleconsultation benefits to all our customers. Of course, different categories of teleconsultation, simple GP access for the lower level, but for the very high cases where we need to customize, it even goes to things like access to psychiatrist, access to specialist, unlimited access to GP, and building this whole ecosystem of wellness, well-being, and prevention. So we just don't want to be there to pay the bills in time and to pay the claims in time, which, by the way, we are doing in abundance, thanks to COVID. But we are also here to kind of help them prevent all of these things. So these were the two things that I wanted to say, that our customers will mirror our distribution channels that we develop, more or less. A high net worth bank will have high net worth clients attached to it. A growing bank, a cooperative bank will have an emerging customer thing. But how we define this proposition and how we do our proprietary distribution channels, which is agency in this case and telemarketers in that case, what tools we give them, what training we give them to kind of come through and to kind of get the right kind of customer and give them the right kind of product becomes very important. Again, life insurance doesn't give you that much of flexibility to do a modular product, but as much as possible, we have lots and lots of plans defined for people to personalize it, and not only just like two slams, like, okay, either you can afford this or no, it could be what you can afford today, what you can afford tomorrow, what is your need today, what are your dreams. So we go through that whole journey. But also on the digital side, I think partnerships with this teleconsultation companies also helps us to differentiate our offer. Mental wellness is another thing that we've embedded in our just standing out and making sure that what we think of as a big corporate, as a big company, how we prioritize issues like mental well-being, access, becoming a partner. How do you then embed that in your proposition, and your distribution becomes a very important part?
Correct. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Niharika. And I want to pick up a very interesting point that you highlighted, and it was there in Shania and Vinny's point, but I want to kind of discuss that a little more with whoever, any of the panelists, please do chime in. We spoke about improving our connect to the customer, going direct to customer as much as possible, owning the customer's journey as much as possible, creating differentiated experiences where feasible. Now, the bottom line of that is customer buys insurance when they need it. And that is why insurance traditionally has been sold, because if I'm hale and healthy, chances of me buying a health insurance is very low. I need to be informed that, hey, buy it today, otherwise chances of you getting it when you actually have a disease will be difficult. So it's always sold, and that's been a challenge of our journeys, the way we built it. Digital evolution has revolutionized that process, and today customers, where there is a certain amount of awareness and financial literacy, are now sorting out the product. But at the same time, being there at the right time, at the right place, and like you rightly said, Vinny, at the right price point is very important. I'm hearing more and more about embedded journey. I personally am involved with certain insurers across the globe who are doing embedded journey, creating platforms that kind of sit between the seller and the customer, such that the customer doesn't even get to know that they are buying an insurance. And I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm buying, for example, a washing machine, right? And I know I'm going to the extreme example of a simple product, but it's just an illustration. I buy a washing machine on Amazon, and automatically as I'm doing that, it embeds a link to say, hey, do you know this product needs this kind of servicing, installation? And by the way, if it goes bad, it's going to cost you $100. Would you like to take a warranty insurance? Now, that warranty insurance could come from AXA, from Tokio Marine, or any other insurance company. But you're embedded in the journey. And while I'm buying that washing machine, it's more likely I'll buy the warranty insurance, as compared to somebody who calls me later and says, hey, you know what, let me help you with the insurance. So how do I create those kind of journeys in different areas? And what this vision that I've just spoken about of embedded insurance, customer automatically buying rather than being pushed, how real do you think that is? And have we experienced that in ours?
I'd like to take that, because this is I think I referred to this when I spoke, and this is something that's very close to my heart. I strongly feel that insurance loses meaning when it's placed out of context. So you have to find relevant context and relevant journeys to place insurance. This is why in India, all the car insurance, etc., is sold at the time when you're buying a car. And then, of course, it's renewed because it's mandatory and so on and so forth. So that's a different thing. So it's always placed. Health insurance is probably the only one where there is no sort of context, especially if you go for a hospitalization and you buy insurance, then unlikely insurers are going to encourage that too much, right? But still, I think the point that we have to take from this is, how do you find those relevant journeys and how do you get customers into your fold? What we are doing at Edelweiss General Insurance, we've identified a lot of these digital journeys, because for us that comes very easily. And we are trying to place our products in those digital journeys where we get customers into our fold and then move them up the value chain through a larger health insurance or a more motor insurance. So I'll give you a couple of examples that we've done. What we've done is, one is travel insurance, everyone knows, but people were not really traveling, and domestic travel insurance is not really bought. But what we did is we partnered with ClearTrip, which is an online travel agency, and we embedded a ticket cancellation product. So we basically said, if you cancel your ticket, because that was a reality, people were canceling for various reasons. And there is some money, some of them are refundable, some of them are not, and you lose some money, right? So we said, if you lose that money, whatever you lose, we will refund it. And we went a step beyond. We didn't just say that, oh, we'll refund it, you call us, you send us this. We integrated our entire claims journey with the app. So the moment you canceled it on the ClearTrip app, immediately it was integrated with our claims journey and it would trigger a payment. We integrated with a payment service provider and they would trigger a link saying just enter your bank details and instantly you'd get the entire amount credited to your bank account. So no concept of let's figure out what is the payout, all of that. So these are journeys where, and similar, there are many other examples, you know, warranty protection or gadget protection, jewelry protection, all these kind of things are there in the entire ecosystem. So I think we have to find opportunities to place low inertia, low friction products to customers as a starting point and then move them up the value chain. I think we are being very successful in placing products there because, you know, these are very low ticket products. People, like you said, don't even realize. But after that, you have to make people realize that you're part of the journey. Otherwise, the plot is lost. We lose the plot, right? And then moving them up the value chain, that's where the battle is. Making them realize, engaging with them and moving them up the value chain. So in all of this, you have to be very, you have to not appear as a product pusher. Whatever else you, because today's customer doesn't want intrusion. They don't want to be intruded. They don't. So we don't actually do telemarketing unless the person asks for it. Even in our online journeys, we never ask for a mobile number. We ask only after the person has got a quote and they want to proceed. So we have made these small differences. And you know what Vinny said, work from home insurance, sports insurance. These are all thoughts that we have in India, but India is a very different market. And we did some research and we weren't sure about the takers. But what we have done is we've created an on-demand product suite. So we've created a product where we have different kinds of covers. So travel cover, sports cover, there is a, you know, burglary cover, there are vector-borne diseases, dengue and stuff, those kind of covers. And it's a product you can buy one cover and you can decide that, okay, I want a cover for only 30 days. It's an app you can buy. We are in the process of doing that. But after that 30 days, you can decide that, okay, no, or suppose you buy a sports cover, you're running a marathon. Okay, you buy that cover and you decide, okay, I want to go for the other marathon. You can extend that cover or you can switch on the other covers in the app. So that's an on-demand kind of category that we are creating to, you know, give into this moment marketing kind of, or moment marketing products. So these are ways that you are trying to place products in contextual customer journeys, embed products, like you said. And then, but after doing that, you have to make sure that you engage with the customer so they realize who you are and then move them up the value chain.
That was a fabulous example of micro insurance and how, you know, being relevant and almost invisible. But at the same time, you know, it's a very delicate balance. But traditionally, one of the reasons I think a lot of people customers have lost trust in insurance is because just about 5-10 years ago, you'd buy a credit card and it might have an embedded accidental insurance or loss insurance or something. And I, as a customer, didn't even know about it. So it turned out to be a hugely underwriting profit product for the insurance company. So from the, you know, balance sheet, it looked lovely because, you know, there was lots of policies being sold and none of them claimed because, well, the customer didn't know about it. But the problem of that is when the customer found out about it, at some level, they felt cheated because they were like, I'm paying a premium for something I didn't even know about. And that's not, which is very different from what you're saying. This is a conscious buy. This is not a secret sell, but conscious buy from the customer, but at the right time, at the right price, and for the right duration. And that's the differentiator, I think, data, analytics, and personalization can bring. Any other thoughts, Winnie? I think there's one more question for you on, you know, how successful has been that work from home and what's the uptake and profitability on that? Do we have enough data around that yet?
Yeah, I actually share Shani's view in terms of engaging the customers. We want to make it known in the customer journey. I can give you an example. We observed that during the pandemic, the distribution companies doing really well because people are not going out, they cannot travel. So they rely on these companies. But then very often they just add a click box saying that, do you want to add a few dollars to ensure that in case your parcel or whatever is lost, then the value is protected. In fact, a lot of these are not run by insurance companies. They are just run by the distribution companies themselves. I fully agree, Shefali, what you just mentioned in terms of the very delicate fine balance here that we have to strike. I'm sure regulators and insurance companies do want to make sure that we provide the protection to our customers in a prudent way with sufficient reserves, sufficient claim services, and all that. But I think a lot of people believe that these companies are running it on their own without proper reserving, without proper claim handling services. So I think we have to make sure that the entire journey is transparent, engage our customers, and properly run by insurance companies. I think this is quite important. Otherwise, a lot of other companies or operators are making use of the loophole by providing an additional service. They call it a value-added service, but in fact, they are claims and they are insurance protections. So I think that's another area that we have observed, and I think that's something that we have to ensure they play a proper role in ensuring they work with insurance companies. And as for your another question, or the audience another question on the pickup rate, we believe that it will take time because a lot of these protections are very new to the market. So it takes a lot of time for us to educate our customers to make sure that insurance is actually fun and affordable and can be integrated into people's daily lives. So that's our objectives, especially for the younger generation. If you talk about insurance, they're not interested. And it's too early for them to think about protection. So that's why we have to find something really interesting that can integrate into their daily lives. So lifestyle products, some of the interesting and fun protection that they find useful would be, and also, distributing through some of the KOLs. I think these are what we are targeting to do. But I have to say it takes time to educate the customers and engage our customers to show what value that we can bring to them. So it really takes time. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Winnie. And Niharika, there's a question directed to you. What do you see the future of bancassurance in the Asian market, and has COVID impacted that?
Sorry, what's that? The last bit. Sorry, Shefali.
The future of bancassurance, and has COVID impacted that?
Okay, so thank you for that question. I think in my current capacity, I'm not looking after bancassurance. AXA has two companies here. One is in a JV with the biggest bank in Indonesia, Bank Mandiri, but ours is 100% AXA-owned company, which is only into agency and telemarketing and partnership. But because of my regional experience, probably I'm going to make an attempt answering that question. I think given the low penetration of insurance in the whole of ASEAN market, I do think that the potential and to have this, distribution channel that is already developed, I think I'm very optimistic onto what kind of profiles you could reach through this channel. There is definitely a need to push the right product. So as far as the access is concerned, the kind of reach you can have through bancassurance partnership, that's immense. And that's been proven in many, many markets. AXA itself runs many JVs with important banks all over the Asia region. So we've seen many successful stories. Now, the challenge here becomes, which is going to define the success in the future, is what products do you put out there? If you continue to put products with guarantees, which is like replicating the products that you have in bank, if you're going to put unit-linked product, which is going to be fighting with mutual funds, I think we'll have limited success. But if we do what our real mandate and intention is, which is to give protection, to give health proposition, which I don't think any other health insurance or which any other financial institution can do, that would differentiate it. So what we do with this bancassurance channel, how do we train the distribution? Because most of the markets, you can't sell directly through a bank assurance. You have to have the bank staff selling to the customer. So which means the bank staff, in effect, becomes your own channel, because you've got to make sure they know the products inside out, they are trained, they exhibit the kind of the professionalism that you want your customers to, just like you do in your proprietary channels. So with all those complexities and the regulators' view on what you can do and how far you can go in accessing the bank's customer, I do think that the opportunity is great. Where we could do really is that, what do we sell through that? More and more you'll see the shift towards health and protection. And that's the real thing to sell. There's a customer value. If you only push products that enable the customer to get a loan from the bank, then you're really not protecting, right? You're just pushing one agenda after the other. But if you embed things like health, embed good riders, give protection, term life, and sell the right product, then I think the opportunity is only going to be more, because then people are going to be asking the tellers to tell, because that's their trusted teller, right? That's their trusted bank guy that they go to. Has COVID affected this? Yes, like in all of the markets, the footfalls are reducing. I mean, they were already reducing because of the digital net banking and, the digital play that each bank had. So we were already seeing that there were fewer people going and visiting the branch. And of course, after COVID, there was this period that all the branches were shut. Yes, COVID has definitely impacted. But again, these are the same customers that feature out in the surveys that we have, who are feeling more vulnerable, who are feeling less protected, who are very stressed about their retirement goals, who do want extra health coverage. And that's the point that we should leverage on. That's the point we should build on and push the right product.
That's a fabulous thought. One of the things I always say is, as an insurance company, and today as we are moving more and more towards the digital first kind of mindset, even if you're a traditional insurer, today technology has evolved to the extent that we can run an insurance company without people. And that's the truth, right? In theory, we can run it. Anything that is repeatable, anything that is predictable can be digitized and automated. And if there's two companies in the world that are repeatable and predictable to some extent, it's banking at BFSI, right? So in theory, all the way from customer identification to telling them which is the right product for them, because you have all the data, assuming you have all the data, converting it into a policy, which is again a legal document, converted, servicing, claims. And now that you have all this data, use it for protection, enhancements, customer service, relationship building. It can be completely digitized 100%. Now, once you digitize that whole thing, you just open it up to different distribution channels, be it bank assurance, be it your agent, be it your broker, because now that you've kind of streamlined the whole process using automation, data, and analytics, now you use and say, okay, here's a bank assurance product, which might be most suitable because we already have his portfolio and risk appetite. Here are the 6 products we could proposition to this particular customer. And now, to your point, guided interactions, right? I mean, again, I'll give this example, and I don't know if the team here will agree. A few years ago, we had a lot of these courier boys who used to come and deliver. Very often, our couriers would be damaged, they would be thrown, they got lost. Voila! Digitized supply chain, Amazon. Today, none of our couriers are lost. The Amazon guy, when he rings the bell, he actually rings it once, politely wait, he may say thank you. And it's all driven by, guided interaction. The same person 5 years ago behaved differently. Yes. The same delivery boy behaves differently today because he's guided. 2, he's incentivized by that 5-star rating, delivery experience rating. And can we do the same thing to our distributors? We guide them for the right product, for the right experience, and create that wow moment. Like Shania said, imagine I have canceled a ticket, and without me knowing, I get a message saying, hey, I heard you canceled so-and-so ticket. Please send us your bank account details, and $1,000 will be credited back to you. It's a wow moment that we're creating for the customer. And it's through digital, through technology. The technology is available. We need to create the use cases and own the journey back. We have only 10 more minutes left, so let me quickly look at the questions that have come by. One question that's come from Vima is that, and this is to all the panelists or whoever wishes to take it, how are we using existing and external data sources to personalize insurance? And what are the main challenges you are seeing in the area? We've spoken about some of the personalization, so maybe if somebody wants to take up some real challenges and roadblocks that you faced. Any one of you.
Okay, I can try this one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
I think we do encounter a lot of challenges, of course, especially for mature, traditional, well-established insurance companies. I think there are lots of different challenges because there are a lot of legacy arrangement, legacy system issues that are very, very hard to deal with. One thing that I did mention is we have to have a good data strategy that support the company's business strategy. But very often it's hard to define this data strategy when the data sets are not reliable and the data sets are not complete. And especially when data analytics are used to make more intelligent data-driven decisions, drive operational excellence, and also enhance customer experience, guide product innovation, and improve risk management. But very often there are big and longer journey to achieve the ultimate objectives that we want to see. In the middle of the process, we definitely encounter lots of different challenges before we're able to achieve that status. But a well-defined data strategy is definitely useful. And the second thing I did mention is a data-driven culture, because data analytics will only make an impact to a business when staff have a very good understanding of the value of analytics and take action on it. If they don't action on it and they cannot rely on the insights derived from the data analytics, then it doesn't make sense. So we have to probably start something small to ensure that they feel the benefits of the data analytics, so that they can gradually expand to other business segments and apply it in a broader way. So I think a data-driven culture is hard to just achieve it and then roll it out for the entire company. We need to build some initial success with some quick wins so that people can feel the benefits. And also for bilingual talent, it's really, really hard to find. We are able to hire some data scientists, data analysts for our virtual firm, digital firm. But then how can we equip them with the insurance knowledge and market understanding? It's really difficult. It's really, really difficult. They cannot understand it. And a lot of these talent are young talent, because in the past we did not have this subject for them to study. Normally they are quite young, and it takes time for them to understand our industry. And another thing is a well-established data infrastructure, including automated data ingression, and also centralized data lake, adequate tools for machine learning, as well as AI modeling and deployment. So we need a very well-established data infrastructure, making sure the data is easily accessible by analytical, digital experts, and people who need it. And so that they can provide efficiency, ownership, as well as accountability among all parties. But very often in the middle of the journey, you will encounter real challenges on the fact that data scientists find it hard to communicate with our business people, and business people find it hard to express what they really want. So there are really lots of challenges, and we need to do it step by step, especially with mature companies. Probably easier for startups, but I think there are also other challenges, because for virtual firms like Avo, we hire a lot of people. I think 2/3 more than that, those people are young talent with average age of 20-something. Most of them are tech people who have no understanding about insurance at all. So I think it really takes time to strike the right balance to build that culture and infrastructure that we want.
Absolutely. Having a digital mindset is important.
Sorry, a couple of points. This is again a struggle that we have every day. In addition to all that Vinny said, I think even for a new company, sometimes understanding your data and the amount of data you generate is very important, because I don't think we all have a handle on that, because interaction data, there's so many, there's data in at rest, data in motion, data in use, all these various kinds of data. Where are they in our various systems, and integrating them, and of course having the data infrastructure and architecture. I don't even think we have to devote enough time to define our data architecture. I don't think we do that. And business leaders, it's relegated to data engineering or someone, but we have to understand that. And the second thing is, we have to realize that as insurance companies, we have limited data. We have to have a conscious strategy of enriching our data. And that is, these, in addition to what Vinny said, I would say these two things these are two challenges that we face, and we have to be very conscious and mindful of them and have a strategy to overcome them.
I'm going to contribute as well, Shefali. I think for life insurance, we use with all the problems that Vinny said, of course, legacy is always a problem. And, even getting a hold of your one customer, how many policies he holds is difficult, because sometimes the insurer and the one who pays is different, change the name for accumulative risk, all those things happen. But even with all of this being digitized and systemized, and with all the data lake and the data engineers working, I think the moot point remains with us is what you do with that data, what you do with the output. So for us, the external data only comes in play with our partners. So we have this AXA Direct, where we partner with the partners and we give them free PA. So that's a free insurance policy that we give them. Only when they become and they accept that offer can we kind of prospect them. Until the time they belong to our partner and we do not even have the right to prospect them. So for us, the price to pay to start using the external data, apart from the telemarketing, which is, I think, we cycle many, many times. For the new data, when we try to access the data of our partners, we need to kind of offer them a free product. When they become our customer by obligation, by contract, only then can we upsell and cross-sell. So this is again, with all the data that you get, what you do. Do you have an upselling, cross-selling, kind of a mechanism done? Again, when you're doing upselling, cross-selling, how many leads do you pass on to your agents? How many do you do direct to the business? So I think apart from the data and what do we do, I think there are so many things that we still need to answer as an industry and come up with that, becomes very important for our future success.
Absolutely. And, you brought out a very interesting point that had almost a reminder, Niharika, of me of what the ice cream, parlors do. They give you a taster of the, take a bite and try it. And then once you bought it, there's no way you're going to walk out without taking a scoop. And that's, that's how we kind of use some of the best practices across the industries and see how we can, improve our customer experience, our interaction better. We are completely running out of time. So we do have one more question. So Shania, if you can quickly in 30 seconds say, why is India as an industry so focused on distribution and stuck with traditional projects? Just a quick 30-second before we wrap up.
I think that's largely to do with the gap information of awareness levels in India. I think that's largely to do with that. Distribution not only works as selling the products, it's also an awareness generator. So the last mile gap, closing that and building awareness is also a task that distribution has. So which is one of the reasons, but it's changing, I would say.
I completely agree with the kind of new products we're seeing in India. Currently, I'm based in India and I've seen the market evolve over the last 18 months. It's phenomenal. It's now, whoever has the first mover advantage approach. Digital first has become the reality across the globe. And those who don't do that, well, time will only tell how they survive. With that, I would love to quickly summarize this and end this webinar. We've gone through a beautiful journey. We started with who is a customer, who owns the customer, the 5 levers to make a data strategy, from infrastructure to people to tools, organization, and then finally data-driven processes, which then enables us to create immense collaboration. Our ability then to create differentiated services, personalized services that and propositions that make us different, and not be a sell product, but a want product. We spoke about all the challenges, and I could see the passion in all of you, that the reality, while it's lovely and rosy from outside, the reality of converting that is there. People, technology and processes need to come together. Mindset and culture needs to come together. And with that, the whole organization, our customer experience and who owns the customer and how we deal with them will change. Thank you so much for this lovely and informative session. We have a fabulous set of leaders here. Sanya Ghosh, Vinny Mong, Niharika Yadav, thank you for your time. This is Shefali Sonpa signing off from you today, and hope to see you soon.